The Army Painter is my favorite hobby company in the entire world. My desk is literally full of Army Painter products, and it takes me from being an average painter to putting above tabletop standard models out into the tournament scene. Not only that, but the Army Painter has sponsored more competitive play than any other hobby company in the industry. They allow us to keep doing the things that we do. If you enjoy the Army Painter as much as I do, head over to thearmypainter.com where you can use the discount code ARTOFWAR5 to get a discount on your next order. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Art of War. I am joined by the wonderful John Lennon, and we are going to be discussing Fix My List, a feature that you know you love. Oh, yes. We had it back for the first time in a long time about 2 weeks ago, so this is going to be the second new edition of Fix My List. And if you do want to submit your lists, in this video, we're basically going to go through 3 of the War Room community's lists that have been submitted. If you want to learn how to submit your list, all you have to do is join the War Room at thewarroom.vhx.tv or here on YouTube as well. And once you're consecutively subscribed to either the Gold tier or VHX for 3 months, you'll get access to the War Room Elite tag thanks to our loyalty program. And you can submit lists for Fix My List, and a feature that we haven't released yet, but John and I jokingly talked about it a couple streams ago, Roast My List, which we will eventually do, I promise. John wants to roast your list.
I want to roast
He's been talking about it nonstop.
I want to do that. I don't even think it should be a tier. I will roast any and all lists.
Any and all lists will be roasted. So that one will be coming up in the future. But to submit for either Fix My List or Roast My List, you just have to be a War Room member for 3 consecutive months, thanks to that loyalty program. So, without further ado, let's first of all just say that if you're joining us, we really appreciate your support. Thank you so much. We kind of wake up every morning just looking forward to these streams. I love the live streams. I have a ton of fun doing them. Hopefully you enjoy listening and hanging out with us. So if you do, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. All that massively helps us grow the channel. In addition, leave us a comment below letting us know what you think of the list that we end up fixing here and how you're feeling overall about the Warhammer 40k meta. But if you want more content from us, Mr. John, where can they go?
Well, you can go to the link in the description below. That is for the warroom.vhx.tv, because the War Room is where we put all of our highest quality content. If you want to get 3 coaching matches a week, and of course the entire backlog, if you want to see the post-game analysis that we do where each player breaks down how they feel about how a game went down, the Vaunted Jack theory, Quinton's puzzles, the mission series that Nick has done, all of this is available in the War Room. As well, there's tons of exciting new content coming up. Of course, we all saw a certain pink power armor previewed last Sunday.
Not Power Rangers.
You can guess that when that pink power armor goes on pre-order, as they've announced, that there's going to be some content up in their War Room, probably even a video on this YouTube channel as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. All right. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and start off with the first list we have chosen here, which is going to be Spencer Davis's Salamanders, which is the Firestorm Assault Force. And I'm going to go ahead and read what he has written here for us.
I'll read the list while you get those remarks ready. So we're starting this list off with an Apothecary Biologus, then Adrax Agatone, Vulcan Hestan, so all the Salamander characters. This is a Salamander list. Then we have a Captain with Champion of Humanity to ignore mods, a Lieutenant with a combi weapon, his Admin Mantle, so he's -1 damage. 5 Intercessors, an Impulsor, 6 Blade Guard, 4 Company Heroes, 6 Eradicators for that Apothecary Biologist, 20 Infernus Marines, 10 5/5, 5 Infiltrators, then a Redeemer, a Hail Strike, and 5 Scouts.
All right, so Spencer here says, I wanted to build a list for singles that's useful in teams for taking on both Horde armies and armies like Death Guard that stack hit modifiers. Vulcan with the heroes to be really annoying on an objective, being OC 11, Leadership 5, 4+ Invulnerable Save, and 4 up Phenopane. And just pointing his reroll ability, Adrax with the Blade Guard, Captain with the Infernus Marines to make Dev Wounds 1 CP, and he ended up throwing an enhancement on there because he had 10 points remaining. He's not opposed to remove anything or change things, just would prefer to stay with the Salamanders, Firestorm, and then using at least one of the 2 special characters that he has here.
Okay, so let's just kind of take a second to look at what practically we're getting out of these guys. So the Apothecary Biologist, lethal hit, Eradicator Squad, that's pretty good. What Firestorm brings you, let's actually start with that. It gives you Assault, and it gives you +1 Strength when you shoot something within 12, no bonus to combat. You have the enhancements they have are pretty good. There's one enhancement to flip it I to a 6 that's missing here that I'm going to argue for in a bit. But other than that, we just have the stratagem set, which is a lot of good short range, shooting people with flamer and melted weapons, and then some transport based stuff. Yep. There's a +1 to wound. I think when you shoot something, what is it? When you attack the closest eligible target within 6. Honestly, I'm going to pull up the stratagem set because I don't know if I can do this entirely off of memory. There's get back into transport at the end of the fight phase if you did not disembark this turn. So you can't disembark and embark in the same turn, but you can always walk up next to a transport, shoot, get into it, or you could get into it in your opponent's fight phase. Are kind of the options there. Then you have I think you have one that's really bad at causing a battle shock test and rerolling hits within 12 inches. That doesn't get used very often. There's the Dev Wounds one. There's Armor of Contempt. Let me just check this +1 to wound. Yeah, there it is. So when you make an attack that targets the closest eligible target within 6 inches, +1 to wound. That is shooting or fight phase, and it's infantry locked.
Okay.
But if you're point blank, it's a +1 to wound, which is honestly super cool. Notably, it just works in combat because if you're usually hitting the closest eligible target.
I would hope so.
When you're fighting. So, that's kind of okay. Other than that, you have the disembark when they shoot a transport and then shoot them. And then just the end phase. And I think that's all of them. Yeah, Immolation Protocols is the 2 CP Dev Wound. That one is strong. That's the one that pairs really well with Vulcan. All these things are cool. But none of them are, in my mind, crazy. So what I think we want to build around here. Yeah, disembark and shoot. All right, so what we want to build around here is the facts that make the salamanders. I actually think we can keep both Adrax and Vulcan. I don't have any problems with these characters inherently. They're both good. Adrax gives his unit +1 to wound. He is better than a captain in combat. He's just a big thunderhammer. Yeah. Instead of getting finest hour, he's just I think he's 10-3-3, 5 attacks. Just very respectable for a less than 100 point character. He hits hard.
Yeah.
And he gives his squad +1 to wound. I'm totally down to keep him with Blade Guard veterans. Vulcan gives the reroll wounds for flamer and melted weapons against his specific target. That is phenomenal when you just need something to die. You get the big 10-man Inferno squad to step out with Dev Wounds and Burninate. And it saves you from having to use aggressors, which would have to be twin linked. The Redeemer is very on brand and it likes being able to advance and shoot. I think that there's a lot of this list, though, that is, in my mind, superfluous. And then there's some things that I think that this list is missing some fundamental Space Marine stuff. So this entire list is doing something that I like to call not being oath reliant, where none of these units that you have in this list really need oath of moment. There's not a lot of rerolling hits that you need to do. The only thing that actually needs to reroll hits is the Blade Guards in melee, and the Blade Guard in melee are already +1 to wound because they have Adrax. Nothing here is oath reliant. I like that in the list, but I don't want it to be 0 oath reliant because someone is going to get oath, right? You can have a little oath reliant stuff. You don't want the entire army to be made out of ballistas dreadnoughts who are like thunder strikes who are oh yeah, this is so much better when you have oath or whatever. Vindicator's really oath reliant unit.
Absolutely. And
that's awesome because you don't want, the third Vindicator never gets oath unless you're shooting Mortarion. But someone can get it. So let's build a few units in. So things that I think are a little extra here. I think we can keep both the Salamander characters. I'm actually down to keep the Apothecary Biologist, although we are 100% tossing an enhancement on him. I think we can just cut some of the little things like the Infernus Marine squads. I think we don't need the 5-mans. I think 90 points is too much for that skirmish unit, even though they are better than other Marines at doing the skirmish thing. They don't support the army at all.
Yeah.
And that, I know they're OC2.
You're never using the strat on them. It's just Vulcan's unit. You're getting the big activation.
Yeah, 2 CP is never going to be Dev Wounds on just 5.
They're not. You don't want to pay the premium on a skirmish action unit.
And I just think that it's a little too expensive. So let's see how we're going to change this. I think that Hail Strike also just does not need to be there. The Land Raider Redeemer is already AP2, ignore cover. It doesn't need to be AP3. It's infantry. And then all of those Flamers, they're going to be Dev Wounds. They already ignore cover. I just don't see it as necessary. I feel like that captain might not need to be there either. It's 90 points.
You've got 2 basically captain equivalents.
Yeah, but none of those ones give free strats. But I just think we have too many characters. And I think he's the one that can go. But he might get added back in, maybe the Eradicators and the Apothecary. But I like the Apothecary because you can give him Flip a Dice to a 6. Is Adrax reroll wounds not +1? Let me double check that. might have messed up what Adrax does.
I know you said you wanted to throw an enhancement.
Oh, you know what? Adrax was +1 to wound in 9th. He is currently reroll wounds. Okay, the Blade Guard do like Oath, but they are also not activating every turn. That Apothecary Biologist, I think what he wants to get is, let's figure out what it's called. It's Forged in Battle? We're looking up these enhancements. I feel like I should have the names memorized. I know what the rules are. I just don't have the rest of it memorized, if I'm being honest here. Oh, Forged in Battle. There we go. That'll put him to 85 points.
Okay, Forged in Battle, and this flips a die to a 6?
Flips a die to a 6, which is for his unit, which is great because when he's shooting a lethal hit Eradicator squad, usually you get like 3 hits and a miss with like the Melter rifles after you like reroll it, and you just be like, that miss is actually just a wound. And then I'm going to shoot with the rest.
Just adds that extra level of consistency.
Which is really nice. The Intercessors are 100% staying. I think that we can keep... we could probably... I'm not going to cut the Impulsor yet, but I think it's going to end up getting cut if I'm going to make a guess. Is that I don't... But I want to leave it for now. What I really want is like a couple of long-range guns to like play the game while my opponent is hiding from the Flamers. This army kills within 12, but it doesn't fall back and shoot.
It's missing the Ballistas or Vindicators or any of the typical Marine tanks or Thunder Strikes.
Yeah, or even, You probably don't need Hammer Strikes because you have enough Ignore Cover on the Meltas. So let's get these Company Heroes in there. I'm going to keep this Blade Guard squad in. I personally am a bit of a Blade Guard hater, but if you're going to take them, rerolling wounds with Adrax is the time.
Yeah, rerolling to hit, rerolling to wound, +1 to wound on the Oath target.
Yeah, or +1 to wound for a CP.
Or CP.
Yep.
That's pretty nasty amounts of damage, I'm going to be honest with you.
It is relatively nasty. Let's see, I need to get the Eradicators in here. And then I do like having an Infiltrator team. Just as a general rule, those are...
Yeah, there's so many. There's still a lot of 6-inch deep strikes.
You want one right now. And a Scout Squad's always good value as well. So let's... Infill. All right, so we've got a lot to play with if we cut this down to the bare bones. So I don't have on the screen, I don't have the Impulsor or the Scouts in yet, but without that, we're at 1460. So that's the 2 named characters, the Combi Lieutenant, the Apothecary Biologist. I'll go ahead and put -1 damage on a Combi Lieutenant because that's pretty cool. So we have 520 left with an Intercessor squad, 6 Blade Guard, Company Heroes, 6 Eradicators, 10 Infernus Marines, 5 Infiltrators, the Redeemer. I'm leaving the Redeemer in because if this is a teams build, this is one of those things that just bullies certain armies. You just have to know who those are.
World Leaders.
It does bully several. World Leaders are included. I would say this messes up World Leaders because the Redeemer's strength 7, which is a huge breakpoint into this T6 stuff. And then you 1 CP +1 to wound when you get close to them. You're just like, yeah, this is just you're dead. So with 520 points, we can do quite a lot.
Do you want me to cut the Impulsor and Scouts now?
Not yet. Even if we kept that in, that's 150. Even if we kept that in, we'd have 370 points.
Okay, so
which is
what are these essentials? Are you leaning towards the Ballistas Dreadnoughts? Are you leaning towards...
I'm leaning Ballistas right now because Ballistas, in my mind, have the really nice benefit of they really like the +1 to wound of Oath, but also when you get into it and you need Oath in melee, Ballistas aren't bad because they have inherent hit rerolls. So Oath is just like a nice buff. It's not a mandatory thing.
They're 130?
They're 130.
Yeah. You want 2 of those?
I was not going for moderation.
You're not going to play around?
I was going to do 3.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah. And they're using their advance and shoot to take advantage of the fact that they're going to be moving laterally with that just to catch angles. They're not going upfield. But you have stuff to go upfield. If we put in an Impulsor, we would have 50 points left.
Not enough for the Scouts.
I think just means we're going to cut an enhancement. So I think we're going to take that Lieutenant with Combi Weapon and he's going to lose his enhancement, as sad as that is.
Brings him down to 70.
Yep. So he won't be -1 damage, but importantly, he's a lone op. That right there is 2k on the nose. Let's look at this, make sure we've got our transports right. So we have a Redeemer that's essentially going to carry the Apothecary Biologist and the Eradicators in most games. Obviously, you could always choose to do something else there. Like you could always just choose to walk them. Vulcan is going to join the Company Heroes. Adrax is going to join the Blade Guard. Apothecary is going to join the Eradicators. So we're good on leaders. Nothing else that we have needs a leader. I don't think the 10-man Inferno squad needs a leader personally.
Is Vulcan the captain?
Vulcan is a captain, so Vulcan can join the company heroes.
Gotcha.
One impulsor. I would have loved a second impulsor if I could be honest here.
Hey, you started by talking about cutting the impulsors.
Yeah, but now I'm looking at it, realizing we have a bunch of just like Vulcan and company heroes on foot, 10 Infernus Marines on foot. I don't love all of that on foot. But there's just no good way to get a repulsor in here that I like.
Yeah, the repulsor's expensive. I don't think you can do repulsor plus redeemer.
No, I don't think so. No, I think I'm okay with... I actually think I like this as it is. So this gives you a lot more ranged firepower. You still have units to go upfield them and, play the center of the board, but you have long-range guns while you are waiting, essentially.
Wait, isn't Vulcan going in the Inferno squad?
No, Vulcan doesn't have to join them to give the reroll wounds.
Ah, okay.
He wants to be near them. He does not have to be attached to them.
Okay, good.
Vulcan's pretty cool. He's honestly he's a very cool character because he picks an objective, he gets like OC 10 on it, and a 4 feel no pain while he's on this objective, and then no joke, he goes like OC 10. He just picks his thing and he's like, this one's mine, and so it's very good for like going and grabbing an expansion, and then when the time comes, he advances forward to pick something within like 24, and he becomes a 6-inch aura, I think, of Flamer's reroll wounds against it. Just because I confused Adrax a little bit for 9th versus 10th, I'm going to read a Vulcan just one more time to make sure, because he's very different from how Space Marines normally operate. Let's see. So, yep, he is, in fact, pick something within 24 and visible. Oh, he's not an aura anymore. It's just your entire army rerolls wounds against it with Torrent and Melt weapons. There's no range of it. So
Torrent and Melt weapons?
Torrent and Melt weapons reroll wounds against one thing Vulcan can see within 24.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just... which is pretty cool. But I think I want the long-range firepower of the Ballistas. You could easily take these 390 points we spent on the Ballistas. We could easily call that 350 instead and put 2 Vindicators in instead of 3 Ballistas. I like having the longer range here because we have the short-range violence already. But you could just do that and then say, hey, we've got 40 more points spare. 40 points is get the enhancement back on that Lieutenant with the combi weapon and take that Scout squad and upgrade it to something slightly more expensive, like an Incursor squad or a JPI squad, which I think would be perfectly valid as well. But I'm going to go with the long range here and just trust that I have enough kill people within short range.
Yeah. Right? And while Ballistas really enjoy having +1 to wound from Oath, they don't also really need it, so you can split them into different things.
I'm also very hesitant about running Space Marine things that can't fall back and shoot and have blast weapons. I know that Vindicators can shoot into combat if they're alone in combat, but I just always find a way to just tag like 2 Vindicators at the same time. Be like, cool.
Which one?
Wait, like one of you has to fall back for the other one to shoot, and then that one doesn't do anything. There's just always little ways around it that I think really good players can capitalize on. But you could easily go 2 Vindicators, just keep them a little bit spaced out and be happy.
Okay, awesome. Well, hopefully, Spencer, you enjoy this update to your salamanders. We've got Knut Ivar Helston. Thanks so much for being a member for 4 months at the Gold tier. We really appreciate your continued support. I'm working on the last group of 10 Taraxi Skystalkers. I'm sure you've been working for quite a while. Those are pretty annoying to build models. Thanks for the steady flow of content. Thank you for being such a continued and supporting member. Admech will be getting a game soon with Skitarii Hunter cohort that will indeed have 10-man Skystalker units. So prepare yourself for the finicky boys.
Yeah, that's exciting.
All right.
And the one thing no one ever talks about with content creators is you can't watch your own videos while you're painting.
No, I cannot.
I can't do it.
We haven't reached that level.
No, we're not that deep in the sauce. All right.
Let's move on to list number 2. This is going to be Redrum's Tau Empire Mont'ka list.
Okay.
And so Redrum says that he is trying to design a list to play almost exclusively on WTC format style terrain. And that terrain style, for the most part, is a bit denser, I would say, than US Open format. And especially the heavy boards can be really hard to interact with. So with that in mind, Mont'ka is a pretty good choice here because it allows you to get assault in the early game. So your army can get up, get the angles, and try and do some sort of threat overload. That's probably going to be your best bet. Retaliation Cadre was for a while the most popular Tau list in WTC format because they could 3-inch deep strike behind the opponent, blow up part of their backfield, and then teleport another unit back there, or deep strike another unit back there. And so that's really strong. That's really what you're looking for on WTC format if you want to get behind somebody. But 6-inch deep strike on, big crisis unit isn't quite the same anymore. And so that has kind of fallen out. So let's explore Mont'ka. All right. First thing, what the heck does Mont'ka actually do? So your rule is that you get to just be able to, you have an assault and lethal from the rule on the first 3 turns. That's pretty damn good. Assault on all the weapons that you needed, and then being able to get lethals when you're guided, super strong. It allows a lot of the weapons that are strength 8 to punch up significantly higher. But the real sauce of Mont'ka is their stratagem suite. They have basically, in my opinion, the best set of stratagems. They have 3 that stand out. One is 1 CP, you pick 2 of your units, 1 enemy unit, and you get +1 AP against it. Then they have if your enemy kills any of your non-Crute units, you get full rerolls to hit against it. So John ran up against this the last time that we played. His Space Marines liked killing stuff, especially the nonsense in the middle. True. And I was just like, okay, full rerolls to hit for the rest of the game on that thing. And this really adds up because Tau have a problem having enough rerolls in the list. Since you can only run 3 stealth suit units, there's no Tetras. You run out of things that guide to give rerolls. Mont'ka dramatically helps solve that situation. And it means your stuff that doesn't get guided is still pretty efficient with full rerolls to hit. So that stratagem is amazing. And then finally, you have 2 CP -1 damage. And on something as durable as a Riptide or Broadsides or something like that, it adds up pretty quick where your opponent has to over-dedicate to try and get through those. So those stratagems are the ones you really want to build around. Now, with that being said, let's look at Redrum's list here. So he has Cadre Fireblade, both with enhancements. Strike Swiftly is a 25-point enhancement to pick units to scout at the beginning of the game. It's decent.
I love that.
Pretty decent. Get stuff up the table if you needed to. Then the second one is Strategic Conqueror. This Fireblade has to be on the battlefield, and as long as he is on the battlefield, one of the you pick an objective, and that objective, any Tau unit gets +1 OC on it. So this could be any of your battle suits, Crute, a Vespid. You can contest away objectives. You can make it really hard to take away your home or your expansion objective. It's a pretty nice enhancement. And then the Cold Star Commander here has Exemplar of the Mont'ka. That gives his unit the ability to be in Mont'ka Battle Round 4. So you would still get the Assault and Lethal on his unit. All those are perfectly good. All right, he's going to join the Sunforged Battlesuits, which is the Melta unit. Then we have 1 unit of Crute Carnivores sticky objectives, 2 Breacher teams to go with the Fireblades to just do a bunch of damage. The other stratagems that synergize with the Breachers are you pop out of a transport, you can get reroll wounds at the closest eligible target.
Just in case they're not on objective.
In case the enemy is not on the objective. And then the other one that's really good on them is Flat 6 Advance. So you can Flat 6 Advance a Devilfish, disembark after advancing, and then shoot the Breachers.
Yeah.
Okay, so 1 Devilfish here instead of 2. 1 Pathfinder team, that's just automatic with the Recon Drone. 3 Riptides. The 2 Skyray gunships for the long-range anti-tank. 3 Stealth Suit units, 2 Vespid units. All right, this is a pretty solid list. However, I have found in my experience that the Breacher team's Devilfish combo is just overpriced and extremely command point intensive to really pull it off. I had a famous game in the War Room against Mike's T-Sons where I, for 2 turns in a row, John, spent a roughly 3 or 4 CP on plays to kill about 2 Rubric Marines. Not even joking. I still won that game, but I poured all my CP like a dingus into units that, because I had to try and play around the Flamer Overwatch and all this shenanigans.
I can get not wanting to over-invest in the Breacher teams, but I was going to say I kind of liked 1 fish.
It's expensive, John. Let's add up these points.
It's 85 points.
Yeah, the fish. Then the unit is 100, and then you play for the Fireblade, which now has an enhancement, very likely. It's a lot of points. Not going to lie. I personally don't think they're worth it.
Fair enough.
Think there's a better way to do it, which is Ghost Skills. I think you save the points and you get your opponent to have to interact with the objectives and get within 12 of them immediately. I think that's a better way to spend points. So let's go ahead and start with cutting things. So I do believe that this is overcost. I've played many times. I love Breachers. They're my favorite unit.
You're not even going to have the scout enhancement?
No, we're getting rid of all that.
That's going to break my heart. I love scout.
You don't need it.
I love scout.
You just infiltrate the ghost kills and the pathfinders.
Scout, but then you could infiltrate and scout the ghost kills.
Moving on, we have the Cold Star Commander and the Sunforge unit. This unit is also bad. It's way too many points. Way too many points. Okay. No. You want a lot of different activations with Mont'ka, especially if you're going to try and overload somebody on heavier terrain. Okay, and then finally, the Skyray gunships. Those are also going away.
What's left?
Those are not good. Well, they're fine. They're not as good as Hammerheads. I've rolled out Hammerheads versus Skyrays many, many times, and Hammerheads always outperform them every single time. They have better damage up front, and they're better into more targets. The Hammerhead can double as really good into elite infantry units and just horde units, whereas the Skyray literally only does the anti-tank, and it's pretty efficient by itself, but I much prefer it in Kaoyun, where when it guides, it also gets the sustained. Here, I don't think it's good.
Redrum's in the chat. Pulling out for the breaches, Redrum.
Okay, here we go. So what are we going to look for here? I'll leave a couple of these so I can play around with the things. So Skyrays are going to go into Hammerheads. That's really easy. Okay. And I've been running Hammerheads.
It's similar points cost, right?
145. It's 5 points more. You get just a better vehicle, in my opinion, that can fill more roles. Okay. These are going to have the ion, the seeker missiles, all the
good stuff.
All the normal
trimmings. Take the right war gear.
Okay. We want the Pathfinders. Pathfinders are absolutely amazing, and for a detachment that gets full rerolls to hit on various targets, you don't actually need more stealth suits. What you need is more guides, and Pathfinders double guide. They can pick two different things to guide, which is very useful. One of these is going to be thrown away pretty early, so I think we actually go up to 3, personally. Okay, we might actually cut a stealth suit unit, which is heresy, but in this detachment, you don't need it as much, in my opinion.
All right, we'll see how that checks
now,
out.
You don't need recon drones on all of these. You could do 2 recon drones and 1 grav drone, or you could do 2 grav drone, 1 recon. The grav drone makes them always -2 to charge, which means they're really good at holding space.
And is the recon drone scout?
The recon drone gives you infiltrate. They always have scout.
Oh, okay, always scout. All right, cool.
Okay.
Is this Cold Star going to be the only character?
No, he's going away.
Going away.
He's becoming an ethereal.
Oh.
Okay, the ethereal is 50 points. The reason you want the ethereal is, as I mentioned, there are 3 really good stratagems, one of which is 2 CP, the -1 damage. You want CP generation. There's a couple ways to get it. You can have Farsight reducing CP cost for his unit. You can have Shadow Sun, a 6-inch aura of 5 up, you gain a CP. Or the ethereal is 4 up. Each of your command phases, you can gain a CP. So not 100% consistent, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Is there an enhancement that he needs or anything?
Yes. Strategic Conqueror.
And that's the...
That's the plus OC.
Nice.
Okay. So that's going to make him 65 points.
That's a well-priced enhancement.
It really is. It's the whole game as long as he's alive.
Got it. So mission, kill Ethereal.
Yeah, you can go after the ethereal. You can throw a marker drone and a shield drone on him because he can guide now since he has for the greater good. That's not really essential.
Are Crude Hounds OC0?
Crude Hounds are OC0.
They go to OC1 with Strategic Conqueror. It's kind of
if they're on that objective, yes, they will.
Fair enough.
So it doesn't help for doing actions on the outskirts, but if you do cleanse specifically, yeah. All right, Crude are amazing. You want 2 of them. Even though when they die, they don't proc the full rerolls, you want 1 to hold your expansion. Okay.
Oh, you can't use them to die and...
Yeah, they're the thing that's excluded from the dying.
Not Crude. So the
Vespid,
Tau do not care if Crude die.
Yeah, Tau don't care, but if Vespid die, they're like, oh my god.
Do you care when Crude die?
No, of course not.
Oh my god.
Of course not.
Oh my god.
John, I send them straight into the grinder every time.
Oh my god.
Straight into the grinder. Okay, so we got a good core here. The Riptides are amazing in this detachment because they're very durable. -1 damage on one of them is amazing. And then the full rerolls to hit, they punch up.
-1 damage for vehicles or suits?
You could literally use it on breachers if you wanted to.
Okay.
Not that you would, but you could.
Yeah, okay. Use it on crew rampagers.
You could. Let me check that.
Sure.
Hold on. Let's actually check that.
I'm going to get some input on this list.
Can we actually use the Mont'ka strat?
I'm just asking questions.
I haven't tried that. I've never even thought about doing that. All right, here we go.
Yeah, I'm helping, folks.
Counter defense system. Yeah, Tau Empire unit. But it's only in shooting, not in combat.
Yeah, but if the crew rampagers are in combat, you've already won.
But you could use it on Crude Rampagers. The only problem is if you send them out, they don't proc the full reroll strat because they're crude.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's not always practical.
All right. So let's go back and see what else we want to do here. I already mentioned the Ghost Keel. We want a Ghost Keel for sure because it forces interaction immediately, which is what the Mont'ka wants. And then you can put the
point shape on this. Do you want me to keep running until?
Oh, no, I got it right here.
You got it up? Okay.
Yeah. We're going to go for a third Hammerhead because I've been running 3 Hammerhead, 3 Riptide for a long time with Mont'ka and absolutely think
it makes you happy.
Fantastic.
Okay.
And the thing is here is you want to use the Ghost Keel and the Riptides to force the interaction. The Hammerheads are always the last thing because they're the least durable. So once your opponent exposes a lot of their army, then you smack them. All right, Pathfinders, that's good. So basically we have a slot here, and if we cut this one crew unit, we basically have 180 points, which could be, we could either go more trash, we could go for
6-man stealth suits.
We could go for 6-man stealth. No,
I know.
I personally think the third Pathfinder unit is more valuable than all 3 stealth suit units here. You still have stealth suits for either flank, so you can rapid ingress for free. Although we're not really, we'll probably use that on one Hammerhead since it's hard to fit all of them. Now we have to decide, do we want to go for extra Ghost Keel or do we want to add in an extra threat? So on WTC terrain, it's pretty easy to avoid a long firing lane, so you kind of have to get aggressive. I quite like adding a second Ghost Keel, which I believe brings us to having like a weird number of points left. That is 25 points. So we could upgrade Strategic Conqueror to the Strike Swiftly to get the double scout for helping our Riptides get up the board, or we can upgrade, downgrade the Pathfinders to something and then get like a Crew Hound unit or such. So I'm just going to go ahead and put, I really like Strategic Conqueror. I'm going to leave that flex to you, Redrum. You can go ahead and play around with the points. You could drop one Riptide down to the third Ghost Keel as well to get the extra points.
Oh, yeah.
Or you could play around with the Hammerhead points. But you basically have a little free-floating amount here that you can decide which to play around with. Maybe you don't have 30 Pathfinders, you only have 20. Sure, totally, no problem. Okay, go ahead and spend that points in a different way.
Yeah.
But overall, this is the archetype that I would run. I think you need to use the Ghost Keels aggressively and say, hey, my opponent has to do things immediately with key units, and then you blow them up. And you get all your best rules in the first 3 turns. You just force the pace of the game. Ghost Keels are amazing at doing that.
Yeah, getting a couple good lone ops in there.
If you go for double Pathfinders with the recon drones, you can literally block them in their deployment zone and then move your whole army up. And then they still have to interact with your entire army.
I never expected Tau was going to be the army that has like the most lone ops. Right? Like Tau and Tyranids are the ones with the most, I think.
So Tau have the Ghost Keel, the Firesight Marksman, Shadow Sun, and the Kroot Lone Spear.
Yeah.
I think those are the 4.
It's more than most.
I mean, the Ghost Keel is a really weird lone off.
It is.
It's
yeah.
pretty unique in the game.
He's the worst.
He's the best.
Yeah.
So this is the direction that I would go. You can play around with the last few points, but overall, if I was playing on WTC format, I would do this. I think the Ghost Keels are the key here. And it lets you spend your CP on anything besides putting tons of CP into Breacher teams, which I think is a mistake.
Fair enough.
All right, our third list.
We're ready?
Nerdboi's Invasion Fleet. Tell us what's in the list.
I love this. All right, so this list has a Hive Tyrant with Perfectly Adapted, a Tervagon with Adaptive Biology, the Death Leaper, 40 Termagants, a Biovore, some Exocrines, then it has a Hierophant, and a unit of Venom Throps.
Okay.
I mean, there's an elephant in the room, right?
There is.
Yeah.
A large one.
There is a large
A
one.
significant one.
Out of curiosity, is this the full list? Like, is this a full 2K? Even with that Hierophant, I feel like we're like...
It's 1970, John.
Okay, fair enough.
I have it here. So Nerdboi says, howdy guys. For the return of Fix My List, I'd love to see your guys' take on fixing this mess. Happy for anything else to change, just not the Biotitan. And his list name is Stimpy Stompy Here Comes Mediocrity, 1970.
I love that. All right. So there's some cool things in here. Let's talk a little bit where we are not cutting the Hierophant.
Why don't we start with the detachment?
Yeah.
What detachment is best for the Hierophant?
Oh, it is Invasion Fleet. So what Invasion Fleet is given here is it gives all of your army either sustained hits against infantry or lethal hits against vehicles, monsters, essentially, because those are the only choices you're going to make. And that's pretty cool. You get the fine feel of pain, the 5 feel of pain enhancement on your walker, and more importantly, you get the 5 feel of pain stratagem while in Synapse range that can go on the Hierophant. It can go in a couple different places,
and
but the Hierophant is one of them, and the Hierophant is the one it's going to go on. So having that option just as funny enough, I see this as like the Storm Raven with a -1 to hit and wound stratagem, which I almost never use, where you're just like, hey, look, man, like, are you really going to like really line up a go turn on the Hierophant right now? Like if you do, I'm just...
Yeah, it's so risky.
Just going to pop the strat. You're not going to kill me. You're going to be right in front of the Hierophant. I'm going to shoot you. Right? Like I don't want that for you. You don't want that. It's fine. You don't want that. The Hierophant's pretty funny though. Just objectively, it's pretty funny.
Why don't you tell us what it does? Because I'm sure very few of the chat knows what the Hierophant does.
It's 30 wounds.
Toughness 14, 2-up save.
2-up save. It has a 5-up invuln, which isn't the important part here.
And then 1 CP, it's 5 of Feel Pain.
1 CP, 5 of Feel Pain is very important. It has to be in Synapse range, but that is okay because, this thing's huge. It's
Hive Tyrant's going to be nearby.
Yeah, we're also going to add some more Synapse to this list, to be clear. So it holds 20 infantry. Anything, it can't transport fly. Anything that is multi-wound takes up 3 slots. Okay. So like you could put like 20 Termagants in it, or you could put like 10 Hormagaunts and 3 Pyrovores, something along those lines. You kind of got some good options. Then it Deadly Demise 2d6. You know what? I did miss that part. It is Deadly Demise 2d6. It moves over 4-inch terrain and models, and it's +1 to hit against battle shock things, which is fine. What's important is that its guns are actually very solid. It has 2 dire biocannons, which is going to be a combined total of 2d6 + 6 double blast, 10 -3 damage 3.
It's 2d6 + 6, or is it d6 + 6?
There's 2 of them, so it's 2d6 + 12 double
plus
blast
12.
if it shoots a thing.
Yeah.
10-3-3.
Just very solid.
Very solid. This thing obviously slams what it hits. That is specifically T10 and down. But in Invasion Fleet, you get access to lethal hits trivially, or because there's a Hive Tyrant there. So if something is really tough, you can still do good damage to it. Like, no one wants to get shot.
No, I don't.
By the Hierophant with its dire biocannons.
It moves 12 inches too.
It moves 12, which is good.
12?
OC 12, because it's hard to move around. So looking at this list, we are investing 810 points into a Hierophant. That part's not changing. You want to get good value out of it, which means you want to support the shooting as well as you can, and you want to actually take advantage of the transport capacity, because there are only 2 transports there's 3 transports in Tyranids, technically.
The Sporicist?
The Hierophant and the Harridan.
The Harridan.
It carries gargoyles, specifically. It carries up to 20 gargoyles. I mean, if we're going to get value out of this, I want infantry hopping in and out. And I really like Termagants for that, because Termagants have a reactive move to get back into the Hierophant. Oh yeah, we're getting real stupid. If you get within 9 of Termagants, to make a D6 reactive move. Just enough to hop in. Then if you're taking Termagants in Invasion Fleet, you really like Venomthorpes, you like a Tervagon. I actually think we're going to cut the Tervagon. This is sad, because the Tervagon buffs Termagants, but Invasion Fleet has a stratagem to heal Termagants. And I think if you aren't taking the Hierophant, the Tervagon is worth it. You can save Adaptive Biology, just FYI. That's going to stick around, I promise.
What's going in this slot?
I mean, the Tervagon's just gone. Adaptive Biology is sliding up into the Hive Tyrant.
Aha.
Is how that's going.
What is perfectly adapted?
It's reroll hit or wound every player turn.
Okay.
It's fine.
How many points is the Hive Tyrant with adaptive?
He should be like 260.
260.
Double check.
This is the 5 of Feel Pain?
Yeah. 260 is Adaptive Biology Tyrant, which is importante. But here's the thing. We are trying to build a list where the opponent has to let the Hierophant play, because you do not take the Hierophant to not use it. You need to
it's not hiding.
It's not hiding. You need to draw your opponent out, which means 1, you need enough guns that this is not a good idea for them. 2, you need to give them a reason to step out. Termagants do that well because they push onto objectives. You get shot, you heal back.
I know exactly where you're going, because it's just where I was.
Where's that gone?
A Lictor.
There's going to be several, yes. There's probably going to be 3.
Is it 55?
60. We need to get our unit count up, because we need to play Warhammer. At the end of the day, we have to play Warhammer. So we're going to put 3 Lictors in, because that's how we are going to party. I have tapped that button too many times. I have 4 lictors. That's the wrong number. I like the Exocrines. I think we're going to keep all the Termagants. I think we're going to keep them at 40, just because they're not that expensive. They take up
You don't want
space
two
really
10
well.
mens?
No. You definitely don't want them to be 10s because you're healing them.
Okay.
And a 10-man just can totally get killed. But we actually have a decent amount of points to play with. So after we... Oh, sorry, I didn't put in my Biovore. That's why.
Do we have Death Leaper here?
No, Death Leaper's gone.
Death
Leaper's cool, but he is not... He's not 20 points better than a Lictor until the end of the list. He might come back. But first, we must find other things. So right now, this is 1880. Hive Tyrant, 40 Termagants, the Biovore, 2 Exocrines, Hierophant, 3 Lictors, Venomthorpes.
Okay.
So it's 120 points left.
What is the Venomthorpes? A stealth aura?
It's a stealth aura. It just makes the Termagants harder to like.
It's for infantry?
Yeah. It's for infantry. It gives cover to everything and then stealth to infantry.
Okay.
Or to non-monsters, technically.
We need Pyrovores. The stripping AP3 ignores cover is super good.
We need Pyrovores. I'm thinking that we're going to close this list out with 3 Pyrovores.
How many points is a Pyrovore? 35?
40.
Did I spell that right?
You did. And at that point, we're at 2K on the nose.
It's because these guys strip cover.
They strip cover. But I do think that I want something else in here. Honestly, as sad as it is, I'm looking at it, the Venomthorpes might be getting the cut. I think it may just not be worth investing in the Termagants.
What are you missing here?
I don't think we have enough infantry. So what I really want is a Hormagon squad. Something fast hopping out of the Hierophant and like going and
just eating,
doing things. Because like not only would I like to force my opponent to come to me, I also need to go to them at some point. Yeah. So I think we're gonna do. This is tragic. I think we're gonna cut 1 Lictor.
I assume the Hierophant's Titanic, right? It can just touch a piece.
It's towering, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, towering. Cool.
I think we're gonna cut the Lictor, one of them, and the Venomthorpe.
Okay, 1 Lictor.
Yep.
And the Venomthorpes.
And we're gonna put in 2 squads of 10 Hormagants. Okay. Yep. This is tragic. To lose
10 mans?
10 mans, yeah, 10 mans. But the idea is basically that...
Oh, is it Gaunts?
Exactly, yes. Yeah, Termagants and Hormagaunts. Don't ask me why they're different. It makes no sense.
And how many? They're 60?
65. So we're going to be 2K on the nose here. We can keep 2 of these in the Hierophant if we need to.
Okay.
Which is obviously super helpful because they're just not going to get scooped and you can just missile them out, disembark, essentially 13, then advance and charge. You can really go hit a primary with that very well. I mean, you just can.
Yeah, you don't need to do it every turn of the game, but doing it twice in a row, perfectly fine. You got your Biovore for the mission play. Pyrovores are really good for synergizing.
Also, they're disposable. Because what you can do often is you can just like put the Pyrovores like out one at a time and just be like, oh, area denial, and I can't put a Spore Mine there because there's something behind a wall. Pyrovore, it's cheap. I don't care if it dies. I could save 20. I could save 10 points by putting the Pyrovores down into a different squad.
2 is 70?
2 is 70, which is often good. I just don't need these 10 points or anything. So I'd rather this be split up. But that is always something I look at right at the end of the list. But we have screens, we have guns, we have combat.
Lone ops.
We have kept the unit count as respectable as I can get it. Considering the Hierophant. I'm keeping the Tyrant here because I really want the Hierophant to advance and shoot so that it can sometimes move over things. Because if it can't advance and shoot, you just can't advance it. If it's advancing and doing nothing, like what are we doing
Well,
here?
the CP reduction alone is amazing.
The CP reduction alone is amazing. The Hive Tyrant is something you could consider cutting. I just really need advance and shoot here for me to justify this Hierophant moving around the table.
Exocrines love it too.
Exocrines also love it. They don't need it as much here because they're really just fire support with the Hierophant. It's just like, do not step in front of this and expect no consequences.
Flat 3 damage.
It's a lot of flat 3 damage. It's a lot of flat 3 damage. And you're going to rely on those lethal hits into tough things. But I think this is where it's going.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you enjoy this one, Nerdboi. Let us know what you think. And hopefully everybody enjoyed this breakdown for Fix My List. If you like this type of content, please do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. We're going to go ahead and answer some super chats here. So if you do have any questions, please do let us know. And we're going to start off with, I believe, Raptor Jack with a $2 super chat saying, have you all read The Art of War? We already know from this question, which may have been you. I'm not sure if it was you, Raptor Jack, but he asked it on the last content piece Nick and I did. And Nick was like, no, I never read it. Like, I have a copy upstairs. Yeah. Nick has a copy upstairs that he's never read. John, how about you?
I hate to admit it. I have not finished The Art of War.
But you've opened it.
I have a copy. I read a little bit. I didn't really finish it.
We need to ask Jack. It's going to be the last one.
Maybe I have to go finish it.
All right. Then we have a Raptor Jack joining at the War Room Bronze. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your support. And then we have Jonathan Haynes, 2 Canadian Super Chat. Good morning, John and Siegs. Good morning to you, Jonathan.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Hope you're doing well.
Being here.
And then Mr. Ryan G, $2 Super Chat. You could and then he's talking about merging the Pyrovores to save the potential points, which is definitely an option.
Yeah.
But as John...
essentially just like 2 and 3 make the unit 35 each. So I think 2 is the most efficient way to do it. But 3 of them is 35 each, so it's 105. So you would save 15 points that way.
I guess what you could do is if you put 2 of them in, dropped one of the 20-man Termagon squads, you could get the 3rd Lictor, and you would get the Venom Thropes back if you really wanted the Venom Thropes.
Yeah, but I think
this is probably
I'd rather
better.
have 2 Termagon squads than like invest and make the Termagons tougher. Just take twice as many.
It's a really good screen too against combat armies.
Yep. Yeah, I like reactive movements on my screen. Go figure.
All right, well, it looks to be all the super chats here. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support. Once again, really appreciate it. And if you are joining us, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about us. All of that massively helps us grow.
Absolutely.
In addition, if you want to see some awesome content in the War Room, or if you want to be able to submit your list for Fix My List, check out the War Room at thewarroom.vhx.tv.
Link right in the description.
Right in the description. And in there, not only do you get access to some awesome videos, like 3 competitive battle reports every single week, as well as those sweet post-game analyses, diving you right into the action. In addition, you get State of the Factions for all the different armies for the new meta, and access to our international Discord community.
All right.
And right now, there's a TTS League, John.
And there's a TTS League.
I believe starting next week, there's going to be an Art of War TTS League, the Maiden Voyage, and you do have to be a member of either our YouTube membership here, the VHX site, or our Patreon. But you can get access to that TTS League and start playing against lovely opponents and making new friends.
Before we hit this last super chat, which is going to be a good one, I got to mention it. You really want to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see some Pink Power Armor content coming up very soon. Because, well, we've all seen what last Sunday's article was. We all know what's coming out soon. Some people have even gone on Reddit, and there's nothing to be seen there, of course. So if you really want to see what's in the Emperor's Children Codex, you want to come back to this channel on Saturday to hear Nick and I review the Codex.
Absolutely. It's going to be massively hyped. So we have Ricky Chow. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat. At the Art of War coaches, who would win a rap battle? My money is on Siegs. He's got vocab. I feel like Nick's chaotic energy might fit best with the rap battle.
No,
you don't think so?
I don't think Nick can intentionally rhyme.
You don't think he can rhyme?
I don't think he can rhyme.
It's a problem with the rhyming.
I think it's a problem with the rhyming. So
I could see it.
We can do it.
It's a fundamental flaw.
So I think Quentin would destroy us all with prep time.
If he had prep time. He's like the Batman of rap battles.
Quentin is the Batman of rap battles. I think Quentin with prep time would destroy us all.
He has the high energy needed for it,
He does.
too.
He has the energy for it.
He's youthful energy.
He also can talk down to all of us, which is important. Really put us in our place. And also, he's very good with words. But I don't think Quentin would be a good impromptu rapper. Now, I have no rhythm, which is bad. But I think if you let me do like a slam poetry instead of maybe rapping, maybe a little more slam poetry here, I think I could come up with something in 60 seconds better than some of the rest of the team. But again, 0 rhythm. So there are some downsides here. Richard, I can't see it. I'm so sorry. I have your back on so many things. I cannot see you doing well in a rap battle.
I do not enjoy the rap whatsoever.
In any ways?
Rock and roll straight up every day.
Yeah, there's a few. So every once in a while I enjoy it. But I can't see you winning a rap battle. Nick, I think Nick would be willing to try. I just think he would trip over his words and accidentally diss himself. Like he'd say the line backwards and be like, "Oh yeah, well my mom is so." Oh my God, what have I done?
Nick
and
is
you just lose
inscrutable.
automatically. You just get
He's inscrutable, John.
He is indeed. All right. Thank you so much for the support and the fun super chats, everyone. Hopefully you all enjoyed this.
Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you all next time. So long for more. We'll see you very soon for more content. Look out for Saturday.